Welcome to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. Grab yourself a slice, strap into the party wagon, and hang on tight. Give it up for your host, the totally radical, if slightly mutated, Justin.
And welcome back to Epic Tales from the Sewers. I am your most excellent host, Justin Cooper, here with a very special guest today. Tonight's guest is a rapper, a collector, a model, right? And the TMNT guy of TikTok. Welcome, Johnson. Welcome to Epic Tales from the Sewers.
Namaste. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. We were just chatting a little bit, and it's been really cool to get to know you. Really cool to kind of figure out where your turtle era is, and I think that's going to come up. I'm sensing a lot of 2003 and 2007 era. So,
yeah, I mean, that's the era. Everybody, I go back and forth, with people about this on, Twitter all the time, and people are just like, well, it's my favorite era because it's the era I grew up in. And I'm just like, that is, applicable to pretty much every generation of Turtle fans, I personally feel like. But yeah, I was part of the new millennia era of Turtles, and it was a really...
The 4Kids era?
Oh, the 4Kids era. Rest in peace.
Right? So you're watching Sonic X, and you're waiting for Turtles to come on, right?
Pretty much. I mean, it was more like Sonic X occasionally. So, like, my typical Saturday morning was either, if I didn't have baseball practice as a kid, I would wake up, I would wait for my mom to, fix me some breakfast. And then it was either Sonic X, maybe Winx Club, or it was One Piece 4Kids dub. And I mean, that was a time and a half in and of itself. But then shortly thereafter, it was definitely Turtles. And that was my bread and butter.
I'm just glad you didn't say Cubics, but that's cool. So that's all. Well, why don't we get to know you a little bit? Obviously, you're the TMNT guy of TikTok. What's your Turtles origin story? We kind of just dove into it a little bit there because you seem to know the comics, the action figures, and the cartoons. Where did it all start for you?
It all started when I was born, and if anybody caught that reference, we can be friends. Anyway, I mean, like most comic relaunches of the 2000s, and honestly very representative of the 2003 series of itself, it didn't start with me. Kind of a little bit of a reboot in and of itself, because my older brother, I got to give all the credit to him. He's 10 years older than me. We grew up together. He was a child of the 80s. He grew up with the last few seasons of the 87 show and all the reruns. He was basically there as basically like a 5-year-old up until I was born for the entirety of the original wave of Turtle Mania. Like, he saw all the 90s live action movies. Him and my older cousin, they grew up on The Next Mutation together. They're two of the only diehards that I know out there that openly defend that show. I can't do it. I've tried my best.
Is he a Power Rangers fan?
Oh, absolutely.
See, that's the era. Yeah.
I have his original Mighty Morphin Megazord. But I say, when I was first introduced to that thing, I didn't know the Mastodon had a head because he lost it back when he was younger. But, I mean, he moved around a lot, so, I mean, I don't really blame him too much. But, I mean, fast forward, no pun intended, to, the... to 2003, it's the beginning of the year. I'm a 6-year-old kid. I'm just chilling out, watching TV with my brother. I'm not paying too much attention to the commercials, but he sees a promotional ad that Ninja Turtles is coming back. And so all of those memories flood back into him. And then he looks at me and is just like, you're going to watch that. And I'm like, okay. And I mean, I've been kind of stuck in this like ever since. But you know,
So does that mean
I owe a lot of that to him.
he's your Leonardo?
Uh, yeah, like in a sense. I mean, so there's four of us actually. I mentioned my older cousin along with my older brother. I also have a younger cousin, and so we're all basically the like two sets of brothers from like the same two sets of moms. We all have the same grandmother, and so I mean we're pretty spread. We're pretty spread out in age, all things considered. But I mean, we kind of bounce around in terms of like those personality dynamics. I mean, for myself and my brother, there's kind of more of a Mikey and Raph type of thing there. At least I personally feel like he personally believes he's Donatello. You about to say, like I let him have that for the sake of not trying to start a fight. But I mean, yeah. Then my older cousin, he definitely is kind of our Leo of the group because like
Okay.
if we're kind of taking too long to make a decision, he's the one that kind of puts his foot on the gas about things. It's just like if somebody's short on cash, he spots them the money and then just doesn't worry about if we just like have to pay him back later or whatever. And then our youngest cousin, I mean, he's definitely the baby of the group, so he kind of defaults to Mike at this point in terms of how they kind of group us all together. And the internet really loves to Raphael me for some reason. I don't think I'm that big, like an angry of a guy, but I mean, hey, I'll roll with it. But I'll say like everybody loves Raph.
I don't know. You give off some strong Mikey vibes so far, but that
I appreciate that. I
remains to
genuinely
be
do.
seen. So
Like
so
I said,
you're young.
like I said, it's fluid.
So you're young and you're watching this with your brother and all that, and 2003 comes along, and you're gonna watch this show, so you start watching it and all that, and I'm guessing along the same time you like myself had a PlayStation 2, and did you, or maybe like a Game Boy Advance or something along those lines?
Yeah, we had both of those in the house. I mean, it was my brother's PlayStation, it was my brother's PS2, and it was my Game Boy Advance. I never actually played any Turtle games on the handheld. Funny
Oh, no
enough,
kidding.
no. I mean, then I eventually upgraded to a PSP. Still didn't really do anything Turtles wise on it. I actually missed the entire run of the Konami 2003 era games as a kid, just because I mean, he's like, shout outs to my pops, like he made an honest living, like as a car salesman. But like so we had, like stuff in like in a lot of great like opportunities, but just like we weren't rich. And so it was just like one of those things where it's like, I had, other interests at the time, like a lot of my friends were into Yu-Gi-Oh! So I was buying Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh
Cards. A
yeah.
lot of my friends were playing Mario. So, I had Super Mario Brothers 3 on the Game Boy Advance cartridge. I still have my original copy of that. I'm a big Pac-Man guy in terms of
Oh,
retro
nice.
gaming and that whatnot. But I didn't completely miss the boat on Turtle games. Stay with me now. I promise. I warned him before we started that I yap a lot. But I
I like where
did for
this
the
is going.
coming full circle for the 2007 era. My favorite game to this day is the game that was the movie tie-in game for that. And so, like, yeah, like when my brother went off to college, he left his PS2 behind, and freaking I still have my original copy of that game too. I'm surprised that I have not completely just like written all the code off that disc from how often I played it as a kid. But like, yeah, that's my favorite Ninja Turtles game.
Did you have the soundtrack with the Gym Class Heroes track on it and all that for the 2007 movie?
I am in desperate search of that on a physical disc. I've been trying to like avoid just like somebody's like repro of it out of their basement, and then like putting it up on a listing from somebody that we probably shouldn't be supporting with our money right now. But we can as it pertains to that,
Amazon. Oh, that's good.
yeah. Sorry. Is there a draft in here?
Yeah.
Anyways, but funny enough, I've actually had the opportunity to talk to Travis from the Gym Class Heroes before.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that I've brought it up about if he has any like extra copies of that. He probably doesn't. But I mean, hey, maybe I'll shoot him a DM after I get off this call with you. But I mean, yeah, the TMNT soundtrack for the film, music inspired by the motion picture. I gotta have that because I actually went back and was looking up the track listing for that, because I just dropped a video essay a few months back about that movie specifically. And I was just like, oh, wow, I forgot how good the soundtrack was. It's like peak,
Yeah.
Burnout Skater Kid 2000s music. And
Oh,
it's just like,
definitely.
wow, like the whole album smacks.
And the score too, like everything on it, it's like, wow, this is not what you were expecting for a 2007 animated feature. What the
I mean,
hell?
they like I said this in my video. On paper, they did everything they could possibly do right for this movie. But then, something just got lost in translation with the actual advertising and the marketing for this film in
Yeah.
terms of, what the story actually was. But I mean, I still enjoyed it like as a movie. Have I grown to love other Ninja Turtles films more than that one over time? Yes, but I mean, it's not a bad film.
I am lucky because the beginning part of my podcast, I have James Arnold Taylor do. This is James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Leonardo, and he's from the 2007. So I had him
Oh
do a
yeah,
video at C2E2. So I'm like, okay, cool. There's one, and I had Mitch who played Donatello. We did an interview with Mitch. So I'm like, all right, there's two. If I ever
you
get
met
the
Mitchell
other
with
two,
you.
I did. Yeah. Yep.
That's so
Ba-
awesome, dude. I
Barry
had
from Friends. Yeah.
you see you know him as like from Friends. I just recently realized he's the friend from My
My cousin
Cousin
Vinny.
Vinny.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I never made that connection, and it just like freaking once again for my YouTube video cross referencing IMDb credits. I was like, no fucking shot, dude.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you because I'm like, oh my god, he's another enthusiast for the 2007 movie. I'm like, hell yeah! I'm like, we got to talk about this. And
Oh
Mitch
yeah.
is like a huge toy collector, and he has all hot toys. Like if it's a Marvel hot toy or something like that, he has it. He has like 14 different Iron Man, and like he's like, oh, take a look at this. I'm like, you have like every
It's nice to know
Spider-Man
them
hot
royalty
toys.
checks are still coming in. I'm happy for
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I know. I'm like, that's awesome, man. You spent $350 on a Tony Stark. Awesome. I'm
I mean,
like, I can't be mad at that.
I'm genuinely surprised that like somehow Hot Toys is still not on the boat yet with Turtles after all these years. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's like
right.
I don't know if it's like a NECA thing and the quarter scales are too close in proximity to that. I don't know if it's just like a Paramount or a Playmates thing where they're just like, oh heck no, you're not gonna blow us out of the water like that. But I mean, like I'm just genuinely surprised that we have not seen anything from Hot Toys in the last they've been in business for almost 20 years.
Well, we just got Mezco, and like last year was Mezco, Casey Jones. Now we have
Mm-hmm.
Shredder coming up. We had the animated 4-pack, and before that was like that Mezco Mirage. So it's like
Yeah,
that stuff's
and we got
starting to come
Body
out.
Count Casey Jones on the way too.
Yep, yeah, and I've seen it. It looks fantastic. So
Yeah, I mean,
I'm excited.
I was like, like I've cried myself to sleep at night, having to skip the pre-orders for Mezco's. I mean, hey, but
Ah,
I
yeah.
mean, like Mezco, I'm pretty sure you're not sponsoring this podcast. Holla at your boy Justin. But
Yeah, I'm okay because the next one's coming out are the movie ones, and I just don't collect the movie NECA or any of those. So it's like I think I have the Danny. Like that's the only one because he came in a loot crate. But I just
yeah,
it's not part of my collection. It's like I go with maybe the Mirage universe or the Last Ronin and Archie. Yeah, that's my jam. I can't buy everything. This is not like that. So, but
yeah, that's the big thing that I think that we, like we don't really say enough, like in public, in terms of, how we occupy this space as creators. But like the truth is,
mhm.
yeah, you really can't buy everything.
Oh
I
yeah,
got whenever I'm on my live streams, because I try to stream about twice a week, Mondays and Saturdays typically. People will, jump in and they'll be like, "Hey, did you get the 2012 NECA figures yet? Did you get the 2012 NECA figures yet?" And I'm just like, brother, like my Cash App is in my bio, respectfully speaking. But I'm just like if y'all want me to look at those figures that badly, holla at me. But it's just like like those things aren't cheap, and you can't get everything. Like I had to wait, for a really good discount sale, at the right retailer for those 2007 Super 7 figures because
yeah.
as like I will fall on the sword for 2003, quite literally. But it was just like even I was just like, yeah, that's a pretty big swing in this economy.
And I think that it's one of those things where you have to kind of gauge. It's like, all right, am I going to be the guy that collects everything? Like, am I going to get every single tune that comes out and every movie and all this stuff? And I don't know, man. I collect comics and I
And I
collect
mean,
action figures, but I don't get them all.
I got a few friends in this space that kind of occupy that realm, and I mean I think that as they do say, comparison is the thief of joy. And
Thief of
have I
Joy. Yeah.
have I felt that FOMO? Sorry, I want to make sure that I'm articulating that correctly. When they're getting something earlier, like they're like the first people talking about it, and I'm not. I'm obviously yes, but at the same time, I mean it's just like that's their lane. They're not also doing half of everything else that I'm doing in terms of trying to really make sure that there's something for everybody in the Turtles community as it pertains to my content. So I mean,
Yep.
usually so I got to remember, there's a seat for everybody at the table. I'll throw them the repost, put them up on my stories. But hey, yo, go check out my guys if you really want to see somebody accurately do, an overview of these toys justice. So shout outs to all of them that do that.
So you got friends who bought like the Ultra Musk sewer or something like that, and it's like, oh, I just spent $350 on the bottom piece of the sewer so we could have Donatello's lab, and I'm like, that's awesome. Good for you.
I mean, the those 3-0 or no, the Dream EX like mecha robot turtles.
Oh
that have
yeah,
been, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I really wish that they would just go ahead and discontinue this, because every year I'm just like, okay, they already put out the turtle. Oh, they're putting them out in gold, my favorite color now. Okay, surely we're done now. Oh, okay, now we're doing like these cool all black but then highlighted with the turtles aesthetics. Like die cast detailing. I'm like, surely they're going to be done after this year, right? Because I don't think my heart can take that much more heartbreak of not being able to have at least one of those in my collection.
and then you saw the shredder.
And then I saw the shred. I'm just
Yeah.
at least they haven't done Casey Jones. If I do that, if I did that, I might literally burn my entire studio down.
Okay, so this is interesting. So you're a Casey Jones fan.
Oh yeah, if you can see, it's kind of a little bit hard
Yep.
to see. I don't want to shake up my setup here too much, but this is a autographed by Steve Levine, who did the colors for it, Peter Laird sketch. I just got
Very
this from
cool.
him at a convention back in November.
And I see the Emilio Lopez behind you too, the 2003.
Oh yeah, I got
Yep.
both of them. Shout outs to
Yep.
shout outs to my homie Riley. She went to Artist Alley for me at C2E2 last year and picked those up for
Nice.
me.
Yeah, that's I've met him. He's an awesome dude, great artist, and just featured in the 40th anniversary.
There's also a Channel 6 newsprint right here too. That came in one of those loot crates that you mentioned.
Nice, and I see you got the Party Wagon license plate up too. So
yep.
But let's dig into Casey Jones a little bit. What do you like about the character? Because he's been around forever. He's just kind of like this interesting goon of a character that just hangs out with his buddies and all that. Like, what do you like about him?
I mean, Casey Jones, he definitely. I mean, and this is also why I gravitate towards Mike a little bit too. I mean, Casey really is the everyman of the team, and it's one of those things where, obviously, his bond to Raph, and I mean, there's certain, social implications there that, really speak tried and true, that feel that resemble a lot of good friendships that I have in my personal life. I feel like there's a couple of guys that I could name that are really kind of, like the Casey to my Raph, or I'm the Casey to their Raph, like in a certain way. The bond that they share, and just how that ties all the way back into the familial aspect of Turtles, it just really resonates with me. And it's just like, especially, and it's just like, I had it so good, and it's just like I didn't realize that I was living in the prime era of Casey Jones until I grew up out of it. But going back and really like the last time I rewatched the 2003 series front to back, I was sitting there, I'm like, oh damn, they were slow burning this entire love story the entire time from season 1 to season 7, and it just works. And it's just like,
yeah, you're rooting for him by the end. Yeah.
Like you're rooting for April too, because I mean, it's the excuse me, but just being able to kind of like internalize that. Like I've never really been super big into shipping, like how like a lot of people in any given fandom will be on, like as it pertains to anything. But like being able to see them just like take their time with it, and it's just like there's a way to do good slow paced storytelling without it boring children. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's what's kind of been missing, as with just like how everybody's like, okay, well, we want to do something completely different from what we've done before, and so we're kind of rubber banding to and fro in all these different experimentations of Turtles. But like I said, I don't want to point my finger at one specific right way to do things, but I'm definitely more partial to when Casey Jones is established as a core member of the group. Like it put the biggest smile on my face when I heard Master Splinter call Casey Jones my son for the first time, because
Oh yeah.
like that hits you when you have that type of relationship with like a group of your friends. Maybe they're like a family of siblings, or just like everybody meets up at so and so's house, but then like their parents kind of become like the community parents of everything. And like it's just those type of like real world cultural ties that like really make Casey Jones have stood the test of time for me, in my personal opinion.
I happen to think that the best Casey Jones that we have ever seen is in this IDW series. So just from Tom Waltz all the way through with Sophie Campbell, and now what we're seeing, I'm gonna say with Eric Burnham and Matthias Santaluco and the Rise of the Foot Clan and all that. Um,
Can
what do you
I?
think? Like,
Oh, okay, so you're asking me what I think now. This is probably going to be the biggest hot take of the podcast, but I really enjoyed IDW proper, Casey. Like when you were saying this current version, I was just like, so are we just counting the 2024 onward run, like the Casey Jones solo stuff, or are we including the 2011 run? Casey Jones throughout the
yeah, I
entire,
would.
yeah, the Casey Jones stories throughout the entirety of the 2011 run, I can respect their commitment to, the level of nuance that goes into his backstory, but I hated with a passion the direction they took his character because of the proximity they kept him to Hun, his father. For those of you that have not read the IDW continuity, if you remember Hun from the 2003 series, they kind of remixed his feud with Casey by making it an intergenerational feud. So Arnold was like Arnold Jones Sr. His nickname was Hun when he was a purple dragon back in the day. Casey Jones is his son. And I don't really like that personally. And I've never really like fully expressed this. Like maybe I've talked about it here and there in certain videos or addressed it in comments. But for me, they weren't afraid to, like really, like take it there in terms of, like those darker family themes. And,
Yeah,
like with, like the subject of child abuse and, that power dynamic, I really had to draw the line at, calling Hun irredeemable. And the fact that they kept trying to give him like this redemption arc through Casey was really bothering me. Like the entirety of that run. Like by issue 100, I poured champagne when that dude finally fucking died, bro. Like when I finally got to was like to him just like laying dead on that panel, I was just like, it's over. Now we can finally get somewhere.
I was just glad that he didn't hurt Angel because I was just like, dude, what are you really gonna do? Like,
I
are
mean,
you
he
gonna just
picked
like
her up by the throat in that one issue.
Well, I mean, but he could have killed her, and it's one of those things. It's like, dude, your best friend's daughter is challenging you for, the Purple Dragon's leadership. It's like you're gonna go easy on her. Okay, thank you. And I mean, to be fair, like 2 issues before, he was literally held, by the with the sigh in his throat by Master Splinter. So it was like, okay, this is kind of deep stuff here.
I mean, honestly, but I say I think Master Splinter, but I say like took it too easy there. I mean, he's over here trying to teach Raphael this lesson. I mean, it's just like yeah, like I say like is Casey like this core member of the family or not? Like you would not let this shit slide if that was them beating up on Leonardo.
Well, I mean, and then what? We go 20 issues, and then it's that. So, but he did really step up when it was like, oh, I've got to rescue my son, and I'm gonna blow up a lab to do it. So, it's
You know, I like I said, I respect their commitment, but they didn't even give, you know, like I'm taking this from a very personal standpoint. I want to make that very clear. They didn't even give like when I say me, I also mean fans like me, but they didn't even give me the satisfaction of seeing Casey just absolutely beat the shit out of his father, not even once in
yeah,
that
yeah, I
entire
know.
run. And it's just like, what are we doing here? And it's just like, is the message here like, oh, that's still your family? Because that's not really a good message to tell the kids if they are, trying to use comics to escape potentially an abusive cycle that they may be living through. Because like that's a real world thing that people are kind of going with. I just don't really like the way that the writing handled that for as long as it went on. If it would have stopped, I would have even gone as far as going up into issue 50 with it, and that's me being generous. But it's just like it just drug out way too long for me.
Yeah, it's that's a really interesting take too, because like if you think of the cycle of violence and all that, like the idea that he's gonna stop that cycle, but then go out there and bust somebody's head with like a hockey stick, it's like that's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? You know?
I mean, they
So yeah.
did. I'll push back on that because they did address that in the Armageddon game. I mean, and I'm only bringing that up because I'm trying to finish the IDW 1 to 150 run right now. I'm on the final volume, but
Oh,
I just
nice.
read it was like what the Alliance number 3, number 4. It was somewhere in that era. It was the issue where Casey Jones teams up with the Punk Frogs, but he was just like I only took that position with the Purple Dragons because I was doing a favor to Splinter, and now he's gone. So what am I doing now? And so like he
Yeah.
was addressing that internal conflict, but it was just like they broke him and April up. So it was by like, please no spoilers. Like if they're back together in the new run now. For anybody listening, maybe I'll come back and read the comments. Maybe I won't. Like I said, like he doesn't get the satisfaction of that, and it's just like he's just kind of in this like this lull period. I'm like, and it's okay for you to, be in a bad spot in life. I'm not saying that Casey Jones, has to be like this perfect symbol of, vigilantes, because he's never been that. He's
Hmm.
literally a psychopath that sleeps on a dirty mattress with no with no sheets. I can pull the pages up for that. Like I understand that, like I have not forgot like that unhinged element of Casey, but like it felt like they were trying to go the route of humanizing him a little bit more, but then it was just like then they had the whole thing with him and Jenica, and then they took Jenica in a completely different direction, and that kind of left Casey with nowhere to go. I mean, Angel's off doing the whole nobody thing, and so it's just like Casey Jones was like on an island by himself, and it kind of felt like they didn't really know what to do with him for like a solid 50-ish issues.
I like your perspective here because it's really kind of making me think about this character and just what I've seen with him, and I like the idea that he's the one that's been kind of traveling to different cliques, and whether he's talking to Karai and Bebop and
Mm-hmm.
Rocksteady, or if he's talking to Jenica, or if he's off with April or Raph, and I mean he always goes
Mm-hmm.
back to Raph and Pepperoni. Hopefully, if Pepperoni's there, but
Yeah.
he's always going back to those guys and kind of gravitating for them, but he has kind of been like this yeoman traveler who's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go off and like be with these people. I didn't really click with Leo, and so now I'm trying to go over here. And yeah, maybe that's more of his role, just kind of humanizing all the other characters like Jenica or maybe Karai would be another one. So
Yeah, I definitely, don't disagree with that perspective. I mean, for me personally, I think that, as it pertains to, what he's doing right now with Karai and them, because I mean, like some stuff is like unavoidable for me, knowing about it in terms of, like the coverage and whatnot. I mean, I was kind of just like, wait, where's this going? But I mean, I am also reading the Casey Jones solo series right now. Shout out
yeah,
to the guys at IDW. I appreciate y'all for sending me those books. But yeah, I mean, you like Casey, kind of, doing his nomad thing. Is like I said, I am is like, so long as like we're still keeping just like like the bussin' heads element, the whole aspect of like he has bare minimum Raphael to fall back on, even though it
Yep.
should be all of the turtles. It's just like it's going to be a very interesting thing to see, given what's happening right now in the mainline story issue. Because I couldn't resist also reading ahead to the new Freddie Williams book and all of that's getting ready to go down with that. But as it pertains to Casey, in terms of picking a goat, I still got to go with 2003, just in terms of all of the all-encompassing things, in terms of just like the Mirage depictions and remodernizing it for that time. Like Elias Codius's depiction, it's so close for me, but it's just like between him being absent and secret of the ooze, and then him just being the glorified babysitter. They did 3 men and a baby, but the baby was 4 Japanese guys
in diapers.
in Ninja Turtles 3 for some odd reason. But like that first, like that first iteration of him was lightning in a bottle, dude, and it's just like so, like that's like 1A, drop a few clicks, 1B basically, or like just like a strong number 2 silver medal.
Nice. So you like the Mark Thompson version from 2003?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really want to meet that guy.
He did the voice of Gengar and Kubone, so
yeah, he also Mark Thompson, if I remember correctly, he also did a Yu-Gi-Oh character. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Duke Devlin.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's all 4Kids era. So that would have been an interesting crossover, huh? Yu-Gi-Oh and Turtles. I mean, you had a lot of the voices.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne Grayson was freaking Joey Wheeler, my favorite character from Yu-Gi-Oh, because who also voiced my favorite turtle from that show. So I mean,
oh, that's cool.
Like if there's somebody it's Wayne Grayson and then it's Mark Thompson. And that's no disrespect to any of the other guys. If I met Veronica Taylor tomorrow, it would be the happiest day of my life. I love that woman.
Ash Ketchum and April O'Neil, right?
Basically, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Man, so your knowledge of the 2003 series is definitely going to be above mine. So I love it. I watched it and I've got the action figures. That's just kind of where it is. I think that Scott Williams is the best Baxter, though.
I wish that I could go back to that. We're going to get to that Baxter comment there in a second because I do agree. But, I wish that I could, still stay in that space. But, like when I hear, people slandering my boys, I can't let that shit slide. And so I'm just like, it's like, like I hear T'Challa in the back of my head, just like, you were wrong. All of you are wrong.
Sorry, I'm an M'Baku guy. So
I know it's I mean, hey, shout outs. Shout outs to Winston Duke, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, man. But hopefully I might even have the opportunity to even speak to Reginald Hudlin, and that would be really cool because I really want to talk to him about his Black Panther run from way back when. Because that was the book that really set the standard for bumping Black Panther up a few tiers. This is about to say, but
that
circling back,
they did a was it a motion comic with I think Demon Hewson way back on that book. So that was like this.
That was a great one.
Way back, yeah. Like, that was like in the era where it's like, oh, we're just starting to get like these things called like motion comics. Like, oh, exciting. Mm-hmm. So,
but so back to Baxter Stockman. It's a toss-up for me between 2003 and IDW for who I would really, consider, that top variant of the character. But Baxter is just a very interesting character for me to talk about because I didn't think that I would get so much mileage out of, like the evil scientist archetype, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, the Lex Luthor light, right?
Yeah, almost to a certain degree, yeah. But it's just like they, I just addressed this, earlier, on my timeline. But it's just like, because the thing that I really loved about 2003 Baxter specifically was the fact that, he did not respect the Shredder at all, and for what people remember Baxter Stockman being like, specifically that 87 depiction, like that was pretty ballsy, especially for a black man in that more subservient, subordinate role, and how ruthless of a character, the Shredder is in the 2003 series. It was just a very, like you almost wanted to see if he was actually finally going to get away with it. And of course he didn't. And, so they turned Baxter Stockman into this modern day Sisyphean Greek tragedy where he's constantly pushing the boulder up.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then right when he's about to get one over on the Turtles or the Shredder respectively, it slips out of his hands and then he loses another limb.
Yeah, it's such a tragic character and all that, and it's like that he feels that pain every day too. When you see he's like
Mm-hmm.
essentially becoming your mutagen man, in that too. But
Oh
I
yeah,
just
friggin'!
I
I
love
say
him.
like when I say like those few episodes when he was that brain in a jar was just like, wow, you guys actually went there. I mean, I understand that like the cartoon censors back in the day, especially for the 4Kids era pre season 4, like they didn't give a damn.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way, right?
Like yeah, just like I can't remember if it was Emilio Lopez or somebody else, but they were saying that like we had basically the entirety of season 4 done, but then at some point in the approval process the entire board of directors at 4Kids changed, and then it was just like we had to scrap specifically Insane in the Membrane because they were just like what the heck are you about to do showing this to kids. So there was like a really big changing of the guard, and it was like season like 5 of Ninja Turtles kind of is that nexus point when you talk about how kind of they kidified fast forward compared
Yeah.
to how darker the earlier seasons were.
Well, I mean that's kind of what happened with the '87 cartoon, like post Red Sky. So you end up getting like we're bringing Poochie in, and we're gonna bring in like new characters, and we're gonna show flashbacks to the movies, so people will see that this is just like Secret of the Ooze. So you get those aspects too. So
Yeah.
but what's your take then? So if we're keeping with Baxter Stockman here, we've got Baxter as a pivotal character showing up in The Last Ronin. What's your take on that character? Like his just kind of like how he shows up, what he's about, how everything goes down. What's your thoughts on that? Because we haven't touched on The Last Ronin yet.
As it pertains to his depiction in The Last Ronin, it kind of came and went for me, very quickly. But there was so much to take in with that book. And I have not, gone back and reread volume 1, instructed. I'm planning on rereading it because before volume 3 gets started later this year, because I think that first book is going to start in March, even maybe. Like we're getting pretty close to it.
Good.
But as it pertains to Baxter's depiction in that iteration, there was definitely, those mad scientist what if mirage elements, especially, with the giant mech suit and, just the entire takedown that he did, and the characters that we had to say goodbye to in the process, or so we thought, because we thought April was a goner in that section of the book. But it was. It's like I will say that like it definitely like is closer in line. It's much more in line with what I like to see from Baxter in terms of being like the mad scientist and like a viable final boss level type of threat. Like like that's what's missing in contemporary depictions in my personal opinion. It's just like we're really still kind of like really holding on to like that 87 nostalgia. Was like where it's just like yes, Master Shredder type of thing for him, but it's just like I say it like this: Baxter Stockman has all the potential in the world to be the Rita Repulsa combined with Finster of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like he can be, like that type of villain that can carry like his own arc outside of having to be directly tied to the Foot Clan or working with Krang or doing X, Y, and Z for somebody else. Like he has, and that's why the current iteration with the Mutant Mayhem stuff produced by Point Grey Pictures felt like it was just like all the hype was there. Then it's like they just let all the air out of the jar after that first 5 opening minutes with the character.
I feel like he was just there to like be like, oh, you'll know this, or your dad will know this, and he'll explain it to you. And it's like, okay, but let's be honest, Superfly was the villain, and
oh yeah, I mean,
I love
Superfly
Superfly.
Superfly was a great villain, and I think that there was so much more left to explore with his character, which is why I'm a little disappointed why they have not brought him back. Besides, just like addressing the incident as they call
Yeah.
it in the show or the comics, because just like like because I mean, like we do have that little like there is that little Easter egg that like there's that little fly in the jar on Cynthia Utrom's desk at the end of Eden Mayhem. So Superfly did live, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, so like, are they going to bring him back? Like, is this something that's going to be like a big surprise for the sequel potentially? I'm not holding my breath on them getting Ice Cube back for that though. At this point,
Yeah.
in terms of what the state of that universe really is looking like, unfortunately. But I just really felt like that they're like it kind of felt like Chekhov's gun. It's like you don't show the fly in the jar and then you don't like bring him back because then he's even like more of like an anti-hero, kind of like in an old Hob type of position. Does he
Mhm.
like fully turn face and it's just like I've seen the error of my ways, mutanimals, turtles, can you guys please forgive me? Or does he immediately get right back on his bullshit? Like, because I mean, like any single one of those options would have made for a great follow-up arc in my
He
personal
can
opinion.
do whatever he wants. All four turtles at once can't beat him. He's like original Shredder
Yeah.
status. He
And
can
he's
do
as
this.
smart
He
as
lost
Baxter
because
Stockman.
yeah. And he lost because he mutated into a giant, creature that was like
Yeah.
part whale, horsefoot, like all that kind. That's why he lost. He didn't have to do that to win. So,
Mm-hmm.
I
I
don't know.
mean, well,
He's
to be fair, they did jump him. This is
oh
like
yeah.
it about to say like it like that's about to say like like turning into Super Duper Fly. It was out of like mere convenience. It was kind of the whole Super Shredder thing. It was just like like
Oh
I
yeah.
would have been perfectly fine just beating your ass. About to say like in my base form, but like since we're here and this oozes on me, let's just roll with it.
And I mean, there's more to it because they did end up, like turning his whole crew against him and stuff. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, well, maybe, like I get that aspect, but going back
Totally,
to Baxter
totally.
Stockman because I could talk about Superfly because I actually really like that character a lot. But going back to Baxter Stockman and all that, um, I was thinking about like the last Ronin, and it was kind of like a flash in the pan where it's like, oh, we don't get to see a lot of. But in many ways, he's the most successful of any iteration of Baxter because he actually took out, you know, two of the turtles, essentially, through the turtle family members, and it's like
Oh yeah.
no other one can claim that at all. They've not been successful, and it was because of him that Hiroto ran New York, because of all their stuff, and it's like that's a big plot point for him to have like such a small portion of the book. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, that's typical par for the course how we treat Baxter and why he forever deserves better in terms of these depictions. But I mean, you definitely have opened my eyes in terms of like the significance like of even just like how small of a presence he had, but the long lasting impacts of that. I mean, that
Hmm.
does speak volumes to like a bunch of characters kind of in the same vein. But yeah, as it pertains to the last Ronin Baxter, I mean, I'll probably have to bump him up a couple spots on my list.
Do you prefer Fly Baxter, or are you good with just regular, non-fly evil scientist Baxter?
I'm good with Evil Scientist Baxter, but I'm
Yeah,
not opposed to doing the Fly. Kind of like as his like last resort. Like make that his Super Shredder moment, but then it kind of
yeah.
backfires on him a little bit. I mean, also I feel like that they've just kind of been avoiding doing that as the solo story. I don't know if it's because of of licensing rights for the Fly, because
Oh no,
that's not
that's
in the
that's in
public.
their guidelines. No fly.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, that's like because that's not in like the public domain or anything like that. But it's just like it's like how much like how much leniency can we get in terms of like all of these like I mean because he was a Fly in the Batman movie, he got to be the
Yep.
Fly in 2012. I mean, but like I definitely skew in terms of like the storytelling elements more into the Mirage House. Like I divide
Hmm.
like Ninja Turtles basically into like there's like like two halves of a Venn diagram. One is like all of the Mirage, Peter Laird house, like if you will, that's more focused on the slow paced storytelling. And then there's like party dude Kevin Eastman. It's just like we're here for a good time, not a long time. That's
You
like
got to
go
add Jim
ninja, go
Lawson in
ninja.
there.
Yeah, that's like go ninja, go type of stuff. and like with a lot of like those 80s nostalgia throwbacks that's very akin to either the original series or the toys and that type of stuff. And it's like like that stuff for me is kind of like garnish, or just like it's like this table salt and pepper. I don't want a whole meal out of that, but it's just like like I tend to enjoy a little extra more of it on my meal more than the next fan. I'll say that.
Okay. Well, that's interesting too, because going back to what you were saying about Baxter, like having him independent of Krang and the Foot Clan and all that, really made me think of the Stranger Things crossover where he was the
I have not
Turtles
read that
bad
one
guy.
yet.
So I won't give much more away than that. He is in it, so it's something to take a look at if you are a huge fan of the Mirage style. Barrel Pay
totally
kills it. It's just awesome, and I think it's like was it Cameron Chittick is doing the writing for it. Really, really cool, and I mean poignant because here we are in Stranger Things times. So you may really enjoy that one.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely been on my radar. It's just been been a matter of it's like time and money basically in terms of like getting to some of those other books. I haven't read the Naruto one yet either, which more people ask me about than Stranger Things, but it's just like I promise I'm going to get to it, guys. I swear.
Nice. Yeah, as someone like I wasn't a huge fan of Naruto, and like I love anime, like I love it, but Naruto for me was just like a swing and a miss. I'm like, I don't get it. Why does nobody wear closed toe shoes? Like, what the hell's going on? And if you think about it, literally nobody has.
You're just talking about Naruto as like an IP overall, or
yeah, just like in general. I'm like, it looks good. I've met the voice actors. I'm like, cool. I should love this, but it's like I don't know. It's okay. Like Bleach, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not my thing,
Yeah,
but
like I mean, I was always definitely in terms of the big three. I was always a One Piece guy, which is maybe kind of like is. I don't really talk about anime that much in terms of like, despite how much I do enjoy it, just
you
because,
keep it just for you.
Yeah, I mean, it also was just like it's hard to talk to some of these like anime fans about say like we might be having a cultural exchange here with the next question I'm about to ask you. But are you familiar with the phrase, "Bro, you're scaring the hose"?
I'm scaring the hose. No.
I was about to. I mean, like that's I mean, like that's a colloquial thing. Very particular to Black Twitter, like as like it's called. But it's one of these things where, and I promise, Black people, I'm not giving away all the secrets. Chill. But it's just like it's just like
my last name is Cooper, so you are hanging with Mr. Cooper. So
oh, okay, that that's hilarious. You see, y'all, he's with the shits. I'm sitting here, and it's just like, that was actually really funny. I'm sitting here, and it's just like it's just like people are like driving their points up of like, what do you mean? As well as like, what do you mean Goku isn't the GOAT? Can't nobody be Goku? And it's just like, being so persistent about something to where it's like you're like turning people off from wanting to engage with you.
Yeah,
that's where
that like that jingoism.
From, and it's just like,
okay,
it's like, bro, I'm the hose. You're scaring me.
Gotcha.
Like, chill out, bro. I just like pirates. It's not that deep.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I'm not so up on Naruto that it's like I had to do research when I was like writing an article on like, oh, I'm going to review this whole thing. So I did, and I'm like, all right, well, let me find out. This is right before they go to this town, and then Sasuke goes off here, and he turns whatever, and they all do this. So I'm like, okay, I'm in it. I know it. I know what's going on. Then there's all this wild and wacky stuff happening, and I'm like, oh, Alopex is here, and Shredder's here, and April's black. Okay, but which one are we? I'm like, all right, well, she's a reporter, but she's
its own thing. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, it's cool. Like with me, like everything they're doing, the turtles with the masks, and Splinter comes up, and they're looking to get to the Big Apple City. I kind of liked it. I thought the whole thing fit really well together. They jived really nicely, and I'm like, this fits. Like every piece of this, I'm like, give us more. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be my hot take of the episode. I liked it better than the Power Rangers. Ooh, I just liked it better.
Okay. I mean, I'm not even going to go that far in terms of, like saying that, like the Power Rangers one, that there's like so much that's better out there. But for a hot second, there was a lot that I was enjoying more from the Street Fighter crossover.
Yeah.
Than was the Power Rangers one. Because
as a RAF guy, I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even just that. I mean, like, I am a huge fan of Ninja Turtles comic book writer Paul Allor's character writing. He did my favorite issue of the IDW run so far, which is Turtles in Time #4.
Oh,
which
interesting.
is a great solo not necessarily solo, but it was like a great what if story with Donatello. And then, you know, like, I mean, everybody, hopefully, if they're really into comics like that, they just, you know, find that one comic book creator that just resonates with them. And I definitely kind of have that bond with Paul's work in terms of everything as it pertains to that they've contributed to TMNT. And so when I found out they were writing the Street Fighter crossover, I mean, it was actually kind of funny because we had a accidental miscommunication with, like, when we first interacted online with each other. But when I finally got to sit down and read the book, I was like, I was catching every reference they were throwing in that book left and right. I'm like, this is awesome. And just like, you know, the stuff that they were doing with Mike and Chun-Li, I mean, you know, like, about to say, like, and all that stuff. The fact that we just got to include Jenica, because it's just like, hey,
yes,
like, about to say, just like, where has she been for the majority of these IDW crossovers? I'll give you Batman and, you know, Volume 1 of Power Rangers, but it's just like, is she the fifth turtle or is she not?
that's a good point, you know, and that's a really good point. I liked it for that reason. I like the chunky art style. I didn't think it was going to
Ariel
work, and I
Medell's
really
art
liked
is
it.
freaking fantastic. It's very akin to me of the 2003 era, where, you know, just like with them, like, they're muscular, but they still have a little bit of pudge on them in terms of that, you know, like those softer features in terms of the musculature. But I'd say, you know, Ariel Medell, probably a top 10 favorite artist of mine of all time as it pertains to Turtles.
Wow.
But shout outs to him. Like, that stuff was freaking awesome in that book.
It reminded me, and this
all
is
of
a
that
deep cut.
circling all of that back to Baxter Stockman.
Baxter, yeah. And Baxter, like, was in the crossover. So,
dude, I thought for the first 3 issues of that book, Baxter was the guy finally. But then the freaking issue 4 happened. Like, of course, Shredder is here. like, shame on me for believing that, like, the Street Fighter crossover was where Baxter could finally hide in the shadows and get his moment. It's just like, because, you know, like, they were doing this whole thing where he's feuding with M. Bison. And it's like, I really had, like, I really enjoy it when, you know, like, a story is engaging, but I still have no idea what's really going to happen. And so, you know, like, the fact that, you know, like, that crossover of all crossovers did that for me. I mean, I'd probably put it up there top 5 in terms of all the crossovers that I've read for Turtles so far.
Yeah, I would put it above when the Usagi Yojimbo one. I didn't really love that one.
I didn't get to finish that when I started it, but I got to circle back to it. They comic book store that I went to lost one of my singles, and it was just it just kind of bottomed out from there. I need to get the trade.
There's a great cover that is Eastman and Laird and Steve Levine. It's awesome cover. It's like half Leonardo, half Usagi and all that. It's like beautiful cover. So
I'll have to look into that.
Wow. Man, I love this because I never get to talk to anybody about Baxter for this long, and they're all like, "Oh, who cares? Who cares?" I'm like, I care. Can we talk about Baxter?
That's who.
You know, I'm like, I'm not even going to get into the Michael Bay Baxter, but I'm like, come on, you know.
Okay. You know, shout outs to my boy Shuby. You know, like, say what you want, but, you know,
I liked it.
Oh yeah, no, like, out of the shadows, Baxter Stockman, like, you know, is, I'm fairly certain, the closest non-comic accurate adaptation we've ever had of that character.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they took, you know, like, they completely, like, revamped his personality in the 2003 series. But in terms of, you know, just, like, you know, like, kind of like the sniveling, but, you know, like, still, like, very, like, I'm going to do this because I know I'm right and they're wrong type of, you know, like, attitude that he's supposed to have. I mean, of all people to freaking, you know, like, get to do that, Tyler Perry's Baxter is, you know, up, like, I have him on my Mount Rushmore of Baxter Stockman depictions. And
yeah, I think he's a strong 3 or 4. Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like he's definitely not 1 or 2. Don't get me wrong there, but, like, he's just like, I mean, like, in the fact that it's even more hilarious to me because freaking Tyler Perry is walking around at his 6'4" height and age. He's not.
He did not have to do this. He does not need the money. He did not have to do this at all.
Like, I have to assume that, you know, like, in terms of the Bay Turtles casting, I mean, we can talk about Megan Fox or William Fichtner and whatnot, but, you know, like, in terms of, you know, those guys like in terms of Tyler Perry or Whoopi Goldberg or Johnny Knoxville, you know what all three of those guys have in common? They all have direct ties, to Paramount for long-standing relationships. Whoopi was on Star Trek.
Yep.
Johnny Knoxville of Jackass. Tyler Perry is, very big into the BET side of things. So I have to assume, those were, networking calls or like, hey, remember when you said you owe me one? I need you to come do Ninja Turtles. Something
Yeah,
of
well,
that
I mean,
regard.
I could have watched an entire show about Guinan. So, and I mean, if Picard caught us, and I mean, I'm showing my nerd hand here as a Trekker, but man, I could have watched
Mhm.
an entire
Yeah.
series about Guinan. So,
I appreciate Star Trek on a conceptual level. I've watched, the why am I blanking on his name? The director.
what's his name? Now I'm blanking on it. The guy that did the reboot.
I put you in a
J.J. Abrams.
genjutsu.
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Whew, that was crazy. But like, yeah, like I watched all of the, like the J.J. Abrams like universe, and like is like I understood, most of the references, despite not have seen all of the like original, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy films and like the original, like series and whatnot. Like, like I like to tell myself that, like one day I'm just gonna dedicate like however long it takes, just like, just like engaging in some recreational activity and then just sitting down and just watching Star Trek like nonstop. Because like I'm also like, like I like science just like in my special interest. Like I'm not a big science fiction guy, like in terms of, just like, oh, space, the final frontier, that type of stuff. But it's like,
Hmm.
like I studied astronomy and is best when I was in high school. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, I have no quantum physics or anything like that. But it's like, like I was, like the space kid growing up. How it was just like you were one of four kids. You were the space kid, the dinosaur kid, the zoology kid, and then a fourth one.
The engineer, was talking
Oh
about
yeah,
like
that's
like,
like the
oh, I
Lego
built
kid.
this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
exactly.
Yeah, I was definitely the dinosaur and zoologist kid, like
Oh
mixed.
yeah,
So
I was I was part dinosaur because I mean Power Rangers, Dino Thunder, but and I was definitely a space kid.
wow, so space. So you know, then the 2012 series where they go off into space, is that your jam? Like, do you like that? Because
Not
it's
particularly. I mean,
really
like I said, I
keep them
mean
street level.
I mean just like yeah, I'm definitely like I like the ninja aspect of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If they were the Teenage Mutant Space Hero turtles, I would probably have a difference of opinion there. But I mean, as it pertains to the sci-fi aspects of it, it's inevitable. So it's
Yeah,
like like it's not like like I'm begrudgingly going along with it because I love the Triceratons. I think that they are the most underrated villains in the Ninja Turtles Rogues Gallery, and the fact that we haven't gotten the Triceraton invasion for a Ninja Turtles film yet is absolutely insane to me. In the 43 years that we've been doing this as a franchise, but
yeah. And what the hell? They should have been in was it Mutants in Manhattan, the third Nintendo game? What the hell? They're on the cover. Yeah.
you are so right about that. But I'm sitting exactly, and so I'm sitting there, and it's just like oh man. But I don't I like the Fugitor. I was about to say like I have like no. It was like I have no like real opinion of like no. I fucks with Zayton Honeycutt. I like the
Yeah,
guy.
man. He's
Like
hanging
just about
out
to say just
right here. He always hangs out right here by me. So we
like
got
yeah.
Zayton.
But I'd say just like shout outs to him. Like I'm about to say like I fucks with Dr. Honeycutt. And just like the Fugitoid and all that whatnot. The neutrinos. It's like as they're shown in the IDW comics, it's just like okay, like I get it. Just like everybody loves the neutrinos. Hot riding teenagers from Dimension X is was a
Yep.
staple episode of the '87 series. Uh, but just like Turtles in Space, it just like it was those more fantastical elements just like lean a little too avant-garde into the Mirage styling for me personally. Like it's like like it's like like if the Mirage comics and like that wheelhouse of stuff like if it was, like steak, like, of course, steak is delicious and I love it. I wouldn't want to eat steak every day for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Gotcha.
like
Yeah.
I said, which is why, I like, like the garnish of other things, like let's go ahead and, just like do some, like wacky, more, home based types of stuff. Like, sure, what if the Ninja Turtles just did a parody of the Three Musketeers for an episode? A great freaking episode of the 80s series.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, one thing I did want to bring up because we haven't gotten to it is you do a lot of action figure reviews, things like that. You're going
I
through a lot of
try.
the NECAs, Super Sevens, all of that. I'm a collector myself. I wanted to share with you that I just got one in today that I've been looking for a while, and
Oh,
I don't know if you
nice.
had seen this guy yet, but
Oh
we
yeah,
got
Archie
Wingnut in.
Wingnut and Screwing Loose.
Oh man,
Yeah.
in spring, yeah. So this one's
Yes.
great. Just
I
hit
mean,
so good.
yeah. About to say it's out there now. I'm about to say like, I'll eventually, get around to, catching up on the Archie line. I don't know if it's just because, I've got Batman burnout, but I've never like this is also, goes back to, like once again my analogy of, like the 80s nostalgia garnish. I've never really been big on those toy box characters, as I call them, like the ones that people remember because they had the original vintage toy in the 80s.
Okay,
So,
like
like I thought
Walkabout or something.
I mean, like the more like real niche guys like Walkabout, they're fine because it's just like it's like about to say like you put about to say it's like you put three random pictures of like three different kangaroos. Not one of them is Walkabout, but you put a gun to somebody's head and be like, which one of them's Walkabout? They're gonna pick one because they don't remember who Walkabout is.
Yeah.
But I sit there. Sorry, that was kind of a dark joke for the middle of
That's fine. That's fine.
But sorry, I digress. Let's say hi any of my family that might be watching this. Anywho, but like yeah, like the toy box characters, but like the more popular one, Wingnut and Screw Loose falls into that category for me. The Rat King falls into that category for me, even though yes, he was originally in the Mirage comic, but people know the Rat King from the toy line in the 80s cartoon. They
sure.
in the Mirage comics back then. And so, like the guys like that, it's just like that's also, why I was kind of like I had cautious optimism for what they were doing when they turned all of the Mutanimals good at the end of Mutant Mayhem, but they're just kind of there now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, how much investment are we still going to get from like someone like John Cena anyway? Or like any of the other characters. Like, is Paul Rudd going to show up every time that Mondo comes on a TV show? Probably not.
I mean, sadly, it looks like that's no, because that's somebody that's currently trying to finish Tales of the TMNT season 2, where Mondo was there, did not hear Paul Rudd's voice come out of him at all, and it's just like I don't want to sit here and rant too harshly because I do like the Point Grey universe. I think that they had some really cool ideas, and I'm really upset that they got stopped short in terms of what they were trying to go through here with. But in terms of how they're like doing their character writing, it kind of just feels like they're going through the motions more often than not. It's like you've got all these characters, you had such this interesting idea in terms of humanizing the mutants to the status of like, hey, we are people too.
Yeah.
But then you're kind of doing nothing with that. And it's just like you drew this hard line in the sand for as long as you did about only having animal-born mutants. Like, I mean, like the jury's still out about Mutagen Man. I haven't gotten to that episode yet. We'll see who it is.
I haven't either. So yeah.
And so like yeah, so I'm just like, in terms of all of that, what's going on, like you've had a hard line in the sand. I don't know it's because you got some notes from the 2012 series, or you heard criticism from fans like me about the
2014 season, you mean? Yeah. Rise of?
No, 2012. I said that correctly.
No,
we don't need to get it. We don't need to get into that hot take because they be this is about to say like they be like coming for my head on
yeah, no, I know. TikTok, yeah,
where about just like oh my gosh, they said something about my most precious like love child of the show. It's perfect. Don't touch
Donnie
it.
Must be protected. It's okay. We like all of it. The movie was freaking cool. What do you want? Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm sitting there. Oh man. But yeah, just like I was just waiting for them to do something profound, and it just didn't happen. But that's kind of where I'm at with the Mutant Mayhem universe and all that. Like, no disrespect, like what they've had going on. If they just also, just want to chill and do some more slice of life stuff, I would like that too. I just kind of would, like hope it was not as mundane, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense because it's stuff that we've never seen from the characters before, and it's character growth in a short period of time. We had a 2-hour film, and it's like we had a lot of character growth among these guys. Maybe not so much from all of them, but like they gave us hopes and dreams and aspirations and all that. And
exactly,
I think it's so great.
Who are these people? What do they believe in? It's just like, is like if I'm watching you for anything longer than like 10 minutes on my screen and I don't have any type of gauge of that from you, I'm wondering why you're there. And that's,
which is kind of a criticism of the 90s movie. Like if you're watching it, it's like, all right, well, who's Leonardo even in this movie? So it's like you could look at it that way.
He's the guy that's trying to emotionally regulate his fly off the handle brother because they just lost their dad. I extend Leonardo some grace. I mean, I know that, in that depiction, he is still pretty milquetoast.
Well, that's Raph's movie, considered. So.
Yeah, but it's just like when you understand, like, how framing works in film, which I assume the level that you do. But for anybody else out there that's listening, but it's just like, especially when you also circle that back to the 2007 movie, was like, when you understand that Raph is the protagonist of that film, that's why it makes so much sense that Leonardo comes off like such a jerk, because like the entire narrative, even though it's not in first person perspective, it's through Raph's eyes for like the majority of that movie.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. It makes perfect sense because it's like he's the one with the redemption arc. And then you've got like the little pieces in there with like Winters and April and all that, but it's like, are they your perspective characters? No, they're not.
Honestly, I would love to see a character like Max Winters make a return to Ninja Turtles. Where I feel like that's I mean, you don't even have to do like the same thing with them. I mean, just the concept of, like, it's like they've been like, in terms of like Ninja Turtles, being, kind of like a mirror into, like satirizing modern pop culture. They kind of play it really light in terms of, all of the billionaires that exist in this world. It's like the closest that we've ever really gotten to that is Eric Sachs in the Bay Turtles movie. In terms of them, like really kind of, like digging into that, you know what I mean?
Well, the Jason Aaron run, and I'm not sure if you've gotten this because you're doing Armageddon game and all that. The Jason Aaron run from 1 through 12 does kind of touch on this with one of the characters, the character of the DA, the district attorney. Okay. So he's kind of like that. He is not like a billionaire by any means, but I would argue that Baxter Stockman is kind of that guy, because he's got patents and money and power and tech and all that. So it's like
they really like
it could be.
Like from where I'm at, like in the continuity, it's just still pretty ambiguous to me about how much money Baxter actually has. Like I understand that the money, like is there and it's very present, given the fact that he's doing this entire publicity stunt as the mayor of New York City. And but like, so it definitely is there, and I will agree with you and give you credence there. But in terms of like the big money, in terms of like who could be potentially bankrolling Baxter Stockman's entire political career, like that's the type of stuff that I would love to introduce, like to get a little bit more of a taste for. And it's like you've got such an interesting list of characters that you could potentially pull from, like with Max Winters, if you want to bring Eric Sachs back, if you want to bring in Madam Knoll or Mr. Knoll from the comics. And it's just like, like there's a few names that, could be, really kind of a contributor to that. And just in terms of, that, but that's just, like me, offshooting Dream World Fantasyland stuff.
Cody from Fast Forward.
Oh yeah. I would love to see a universe. I mean, like if we're in the business of traumatizing characters, I say bring back Cody Jones, but then make him like Casey Jones's brother that he loses to gang violence, and that's the catalyst for why Casey Jones hates gang culture so much.
Jeez, yeah. I mean, that's that would be a darker take on Casey, but why not? And I
Yeah,
think there's room for that, and there's room for stories. And I
yeah.
mean, Casey started
That's
out as a guy that watched too much bad TV, and that's why he
yeah,
was out there.
and
So and
and
how things have changed.
it's just like we it and like that's where where I'll also give a little bit more credit to Rise, because like with the whole tale of two Casey Joneses thing that they had there at the tail end of like their run. I mean, when you look at those two iterations, I mean, they basically took the entirety of Casey Jones's character and characterization, and they split it in half between like these two entities. Cassandra Jones, she's
Yeah.
the unhinged lunatic that's just out here just like, who's letting this person just walk around with a baseball bat and a stick and it's just like letting them hurt people. And then you have Casey Jr., like her son from the future, that is that more altruistic, virtuous, like that's like self-righteous type, who has all of the good intentions but not necessarily the best execution, because they didn't grow up with all of the proper resources, and like all of that is intrinsically Casey Jones.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like that Two-Face dynamic where you've got like those the two pieces of the character, like a Robert Louis Stevenson sort of character sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really big. I'm just crazy that you brought that up. I think Jekyll and Hyde is probably like my favorite fiction book of like all the classics that are out there. But
nice.
like, yeah, I really,
Yeah.
I enjoy stories about duality, which is why this universe has been like, just this entire franchise has been so much fun to poke around with, because it's just like the internal conflict that you get between these mutants having humanity, or like these ninjas aspiring like to be, I was about to say like like be more like being bound by their duty and their honor or whatever,
Hmm.
and just like, or just crazy aliens that like that don't speak the language coming in, and like trying to like take over the city. Like there's so much to play around with in terms of like what that like kind of like does to like like a person's spirit.
Yeah, and is it their fight or is it their father's fight? And
Yeah,
are they inheriting this generational blood debt that has nothing to do with them? It's like there's a lot of things that you can unpack about this, and you put on top of that the family dynamic and a love of disgusting toppings on pizza. It's what's not to
yeah.
like. Yeah, So
Oh yeah.
th-
What about to say, like, so are you definitely more akin to like the turtles, like liking gross toppings on pizza then?
Oh, I'm okay with whatever. I mean, if they want to eat sushi, if they want to eat pizza, anything, like I just like pizza. So it's like
Oh
any
yeah, same.
excuse to read about, like every episode has a pizza recipe in it. So as this episode will as well. So do
Oh,
you have any
awesome.
preferences on your pizza? What's your favorite topping?
I'm a big buffalo chicken guy. I like a nice
Okay.
spicy and savory type of slice.
All right. So
But I
we'll
say like
do
I'm not super big. Like the older I get, the more that I don't like tomato being the dominant flavor in like my palate for some odd reason. And it's like despite how much I eat pizza, despite how much I grew up, like eating, like pasta dishes like mustacholi or spaghetti, from all of my from my mother, my grandmother, all my aunts that cook. Like I have nothing bad to say about Italian food, but also like Alfredo was like I try not to eat super big amounts of dairy like in one sitting, barring pizza, because I
it's
mean
the most
like it's all
adult
just
thing you
cheese.
could have said. Yes.
But I mean,
No,
just
that's
like I like, but so, like I like something, like with a little zest, something that packs a punch, like bring the personality of it, like to the forefront, like old school, like original buffalo chicken pizza that used to like burn your face off and make you sweat. Like that's
blue
what I
cheese or
want.
no blue cheese.
I'll skip blue cheese crumbles on my pies if I'm gonna be honest about that. But like I like blue cheese dressing for wings. I'll admit that. I don't hate it. Blue cheese crumbles and salad, it's pretty good, but keep it off the pizza.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's valid. Absolutely. I like a little buffalo wing sauce instead of the tomato sauce, and maybe, like a nice wing tender or something like that. So hell yeah.
Ooh,
I,
yeah.
I am I am with you. This is great. So we got to circle back to this because we get to know you a little bit you are definitely a man with opinions, as you said. You get to talk about all this great stuff. We had deep dives into characters, Casey Jones and Baxter Stockman. I did not expect to go there, but I was so excited we did. But we have not at all talked about the first thing I mentioned is that you are a rapper. We didn't talk about your music. We didn't talk about anything like that. I got a chance to listen
Yeah. Okay.
to your music that you have up on Spotify. I
Oh
think it's
wow.
great. I liked it a lot. I
Thank
think
you.
was it Martian's Lament? You know, just like one of my favorite, and then the reprise and
Oh
all
wow.
that.
That's the
Like,
opening track on the album. That's crazy. Thank you.
dude, I listened to it 3 times. I'm not even kidding, and it's like I love the cadence that you do it, and it's just almost like beat poetry just coming out in your word choice and all that. I'm not like the biggest hip hop guy, so I'm not going to be like, oh, you sound like this guy or that. I'm like, no, but I know what I like, and I like poetry, and I like what you did. And I mean, you got some really, really good stuff out there, and I'm
I
gonna
mean,
post a link so
that
people can go check it out.
I really appreciate that. And I mean, as it pertains to, how that project came together, the Martian Chronicles, for anybody listening, I was living in
Space.
Chicago. I was listening at I was living in Chicago at the time. And I mean, it was almost kind of, like in retrospect now, in terms of the person that I've evolved into, like that was definitely, kind of like a point of metamorphosis for me. It's like that project had to come out in the way that it did at the time that it did in order for me to, get to who I am today. And I'm not trying to be like super deep and introspective, he's getting all deep and shit.
Well,
But I
it
mean, in
seemed pretty
terms of,
emotional, like listening to it. It's like,
like it really was, because I mean, in terms of, I mean, even like even at the time, just like that feat of like living out in that city basically by myself. Like I have extended family here and there that I would pop in and say hi to every once in a while. But between going to school, trying to like just figure out best, like finally like get the question off my mind of who am I. But just like all of the train rides or bus trips that I would take back home to where I was lived, was like where my hometown area was, back up to Chicago. All of those trips were basically me journaling and kind of logging these emotions and just these experiences that I was kind of that were kind of happening to me in real time. And so basically those were like all of those journal entries basically kind of turned into that album. And I mean, it's a very, I mean, it's a very real sentiment from a very real person that I have not spoken to or, like gotten a feel for in a, long while. I'm not necessarily sure if that's a good or a bad thing in terms of,
I think
my
it's a
artistry.
profound thing. Yeah,
And, and like in terms of my artistry, it was, it was just like, okay, I'm going to let you have the wheel for this moment, but after that, I got to let you go. But so, I mean, after all of that, it was one of those things where like it's like like I'll like if you listen to like some of my videos, like I own all the rights to my music, so it's like I'm at free will. I'll throw just like the beats in the background of some of my shit, and it's just like
hmm
like for the off chance there's somebody I was like, yo, that was a really cool beat, but I was like, well, like where's that from? I don't recognize. I'm like, it's like that's my record. I mean, shout outs to all the producers that I worked with on that project. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my engineering team. That was Audio Mom Jackie Lupakos. That was DJ Hiley B, formerly now Hiley Beats. They were two very big contributors to helping me put that project together. And I mean, once again, like the producers, Woozy, Fiction, Best. I love all those guys. I mean, and most of us all still keep in touch. So I mean, it's like a nice little it's like a nice little nostalgic trip when I get that chance to, like kind of be like, hey, or, like I check the streams or, like DistroKid gives me a payout or something. It's
Yeah.
just like, hey, I was like, once again, thank you guys for all that hard work from from way back when. I'm actually coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that album in 2028.
Oh, no kidding. So,
Yeah.
with all that, you mentioned that you're kind of like you're not that person anymore. That was something that you went through, and that's like where you were. Is there room for something about like your interests? Like, would you rap about Yu-Gi-Oh? Would you rap about space? Would you rap about Ninja Turtles? You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming.
Absolutely. I would definitely. I mean, hey, if somebody wants to cut a check and tell me to drop a verse where this is going to be on the next like Ninja Turtles movie, I would probably like uninstall every social media app on my phone to kill all the noise and deliver the best verse possible. Like that honestly would be kind of the dream if I can kind of put that call out there to the universe. Like there's a lot of very talented people out there, but I feel like if I did have one more in me, I would definitely want to give it my all for that. I don't know if maybe I'm kind of saving it for that, but I would definitely be open to something like that in the future. I mean, there have been, I can't even sit here and lie like I haven't gotten calls, very recently from other artists that have reached out to me. I'm sorry for, kind of ghosting y'all. I'll put that on record right now, but, life happens. But I mean, in terms of, like trying to, find that within who I am now, that's been, kind of like the internal conflict, if you will, if we can kind of circle that back to what we were just talking about previously. But I would definitely, I mean, music is always going to be with me. I mean, besides, being a rapper, I play 5 different instruments. I just pulled out my saxophone for the first time last week in
I
years.
did notice the sax on that, so I was like, I wonder where you got that.
Oh yeah, no, that's my professional grade horn. I mean, that was a graduation present of sorts from my dad. So once again, shout outs to him for helping like support the vision for as long as he has. But yeah, but yeah, I play sax, I play keyboard, I play bass guitar. I was doing I gave back because I used to do theater. I'm a retired stage actor too. But
Oh yeah.
so I'll go back to like where my local troops will perform at, and I'll volunteer and play bass for them if they need somebody in their pit. But like yeah, I love playing. It's just been like where this thing where it's kind of turned back more into a hobby than a desire to make it a profession. Because I'm kind of doing the social media thing right now, and it's been paying off well so far in terms of the opportunities I've been getting from it. But if the opportunity presents itself for me to pivot back to that or incorporate that more into what I do as a creator, best believe you will be seeing more of it. I think that's I won't say it's on the back burner, but it's more so it's something that I'm taking the time to properly cultivate in terms of what's next for what I'm doing here on the internet in this space, just kind of existing.
Well, that's awesome because it's the whole idea of having you on the show was to just get to know you. What are you about? What's your experience in this Turtleverse, and what do you like? What do you pull from it, and just how does your lens focus that for the listeners? And I think that's kind of what we were doing here, and like your
I
music is
mean,
part of that.
yeah, and I mean, if I can kind of give you a solid answer to what you just asked her. I mean, I love love, I love community, I love family, and I feel like that's kind of been the overarching, encompassing thing that we've kind of talked about across, all these different, questions and the back and forth that we've kind of gone on. Because I mean, like even like the spirited debate aspect of it. That's something that's very akin to the stuff that me and my uncle do. Because like
Are you
we
calling me Unc?
are. No, I mean I'm saying that that's hilarious.
That's what
I
my
mean,
kids say.
I've been an uncle since like the day I was born. My oldest niece is actually a full year older than me because my oldest sister is like 20 years older than me.
Well, there you go,
But yeah, I mean like
Jenica.
it's I mean like, and she actually just had her first kid, so I'm a great uncle before the ripe old age of 30, which is
Nice.
actually fucking insane for me to say out loud.
That's
but
fantastic.
but like yeah, I mean just like in terms of just also just like the strange circumstances that bring people together, like had I not like opened my phone at the time that I did and like and saw your message, I would have completely missed out on this opportunity. And I'm trying to be better about saying yes about things, and it's just like I guess that's really was like what I'm about. As much as I like having a plan and I like having like confirmation, there is a deeper part of me that like does like that free spirited aspect. Like there's a level of spontaneity, or however you say that. You know what I'm trying to say.
I
Like
know.
yeah, there's a level and element of being spontaneous, I'll say, in terms of like who I am, like as a person. I try not to drift too far, because like next thing you know, it's like, wait, what? He's a go-go dancer in Cuba now. Like, what the heck is he doing out there? Like, I don't want to, like side quest myself too far into the sun, if you will.
Well, I want to thank you for being my guest, and I think you are the only guest out of all of them who has ever mentioned Sisyphus. So that's a first, considering all the lore that we talk about on this. But it's been a blast.
Hopefully, this won't be like the episodes like, who the heck is this guy? This guy's insane. Best say this
we
is the
have
most
those.
boring. Best say this is the most boring episode you've ever done. Like, I want to talk about
God, no.
stabbing people.
Yeah, no, they can go back to a different show. But best place for people to find you, I've got Johnson is Lovely on TikTok. I've got at Johnson is Lovely on Instagram. And your music is on Spotify.
Yeah, you can find me at all social media at Johnson is Lovely. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitch. I'm on, Instagram. I'm basically anywhere where the people are, for better or worse. I try to, do a really good gauge of, engaging, with the community. Once again, shout outs to my core following on TikTok. We got a bulletin board that's 200 plus members strong right now.
Nice.
Shout outs to my Discord, all the lovely people. We've got, a very vibrant community of passionate Ninja Turtles fans in there.
Yeah.
And shout out to anybody, that's, ever crossed paths with me, whether if it was the most lovely or not so lovely experiences, because that's what the human connection is all about, was taking the good with the bad. To quote Jack Kirby, life at best is indeed bittersweet.
And that's the best ever, just to quote Kirby and such.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank my listeners for listening, and please stay tuned for your pizza recipe of the day. And we will say bye for now, guys.
And as always, stay lovely.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.